Hello and welcome to Business Point on Global Television, your hub for topical discussion in the world of business, ranging from tech, innovation, as well as government policies. Today, we delve into a crucial topic affecting the nation's economy, particularly tax reforms in Nigeria. As the government seeks to enhance revenue generation, value-added tax remains a central pillar of the tax system. However, challenges such as tax evasion, inefficiencies in collection, and concerns about the impact of value-added tax on the average citizens persist. Today, we will explore these challenges, examine the gap between tax collection and provision of social services, and also discuss the socio-economic implications of proposals to raise the value-added tax to 10% by the House of Representatives. With my guest on the program, Haruna Braimu, who is a finance expert, just after this break. Please stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. If you just joined us, this is Business Point on Global Television, and my guest, Haruna Braimu, would help us unpack the complexities of Nigeria's tax reforms and the potential to reshape the nation's economic landscape. Many thanks for joining me on the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Always.
The National Assembly has proposed a bill to raise tax from 7.5% now to 10%. But I want us to look at the challenges. Let's focus on the challenges. What are the major challenges Nigeria faces in its current system, particularly with value-added tax?
I think beyond that, we should have an a little overview of the proposed tax reform bill. It's not necessarily coming from the National Assembly. It's coming from the federal government, the presidency, under the office of the Tax Reform and Fiscal Reform Committee set up by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu since last year. A lot has been ongoing, and they propose a robust tax regime to drive fiscal activities of the government in a way that the generality of Nigeria will experience an improved economic system. There is not much complexity. Rather, this reform tends to simplify a lot, creating incentives where they are supposed to be, give exemption to raise to give life and breathe life into SMEs and other businesses that have been before now facing challenges in coping with the tax system, and made the tax regime more progressive in nature, which is one of the purposes of taxation. Tax seems to be progressive in nature and balanced, and so that the burden will be lifted such from the taxpayer. You pay it with ease, you understand. But all this will not be possible if the reform is not done in a way from the legal framework, from the fiscal administration perspective, because there are about 4 bills encompasses in one. One dwell on the consolidation of a fiscal framework. The other one talking about the tax a bill for the tax administration in Nigeria, total tax administration, the legality, the laws, and everything that has to do with tax administration. The third one dwells on the repealing of the FROS Tax Act of 2000 and FROS Tax Act number 13 of 2007 is going to be replaced by the National Revenue Service, FRO, Federal Revenue Service. Now we're going to be having National Revenue Service as the fourth part of that bill. The fourth bill talks about the Consolidated Revenue Joint Board, which is before we call it the JTB, the Joint Tax Board. You understand? So broken it down going forward, VAT is just an indirect part of the whole thing. VAT is an indirect tax. Tax on its own, we have direct taxes. We have the company income tax, the personal income tax, Peter. There's a full act for that one, the personal income tax Act of 2015 as amended. We have the company income tax, like that. So VAT is a sales tax, it's a consumption tax and indirect tax that people tend to, is charged on our sales consumption, things we purchase. And what this reform is trying to do is, first of all, to lessen the burden of the VAT issue. For example, there are going to be exempted food items. A lot of food items will be exempted from tax, from VAT collection. Food and water, essentials, commodities, healthcare related, both manufacturing, pharmaceuticals. These are all items that are going to be. Imagine exempting all this from tax, and the producers and dealers in all those items will be smiling and saving more to drive improving their capital base and make the working capitals of these businesses. You understand? So as you are doing that, other items that are vatable will now a little bit go up to make it more balanced from 7.5% to 10%. And it's not immediate. Everything we have, the bill is still a proposed bill. It has not been passed or signed to law, not to talk of implementation. But it's better we explain it like this. I remember I first mentioned about the consolidated fiscal framework of the bill, one of the bill, talking about a situation whereby all taxes will now be well consolidated and administered in a way that the multiple taxation that exists between the three tiers of government or along the three tiers of government. Today you see an agency coming to collect this levy, another one coming to collect this, another one coming, you don't even know what is what, from federal to state and local government. When we are now driving that bill seems, it tends to consolidate all this into one body, so that one body will be solely responsible. The Nigeria Revenues Service will now be fully responsible for tax collection on behalf of the entire country. Maybe everything will now be going to the Consolidated Revenue Fund account, which belongs to Nigeria, the 36 states, the several rights of the local government, and the federal government. You understand? So VAT is just an aspect of the entire proposed tax reform. And the same VAT on its own is well built in a way that there are incentives that even affect the VAT payer. For example, they gave you 100% full VAT input. VAT is to value-added taxes of two types. We have the VAT output, we have the VAT input. The VAT output talks about the sales, the VAT that's chargeable on your sales. The VAT input talks about the VAT that you are supposed to also get credit from your purchases. For all the purchases you've made, you charge, for example, if my sales in a month is 100,000 naira, and my purchases in that month is 70,000 naira, I'm charging 10% of 100,000 naira as my VAT output. Do you get? On my sales. At the same time, I'm supposed to get 10% of my purchases to remove from what I've gotten from the sales. The net of it is what I pay as VAT. You understand? But this time around, they're telling you to remove the entire 70,000 naira from the total sales. The balance is what you are going to even charge the VAT of 10% on. The VAT of 10%, your VAT output is no longer being charged on 100,000, but on the difference between 100,000 sales and 70,000 purchases. You understand? Which is 30,000 naira. So with such a relief granted you, it's normal that we should just pep up the rates from 7.5 to 10%, so that it will not be revenue loss totally to the government. All geared towards improving the business life of the economy.
You know, we're talking about tax reform, but I want us to dwell more on value-added tax as a critical element. Now, you say that taxation will be removed from essential commodities like food and essentials, basically value-added tax. Yes, and then other commodities will now be increased. That are already taxed will be increased. What are their possible challenges, obviously, because these producers of these other commodities will not be smiling to the bank like the producers of essentials.
The same producers will also enjoy a full VAT input window that is being created, even when they are calculating their VAT. I just explained to you the 100,000, 70,000. If your purchases is 70,000, your sales is 100,000 naira, and your VAT output normally is supposed to be 10% of your sales of 100,000, which is maybe 10,000 naira you are supposed to pay as VAT. At the end of the day, you are going to be paying like 3,000 naira because you will first of all remove the 70,000 in full of your purchase from your sales. You now charge 10% on 30,000. Instead of paying 10,000, we'll be paying 3,000 naira.
Okay, but we've had challenges. I want us to just look at the challenges now on this VAT, knowing fully well now that certain essentials will be granted tax relief, value-added tax relief. But let's look at the challenges that we have had with VAT collections.
VAT collection, let me explain to you. The collected VAT collection goes straight into the National Treasury, which belongs to both the states, local government, and the federal government. You understand? Over the time, the Nigerian populace have not been able to really ask the right question. Who is actually collecting who in this whole arrangement of taxes? As it stands today, the state and local government collect the highest portion of VAT. In the total VAT collection, the federal government collect maybe around 15% or less. The state and local government get the rest. So the money is added, it goes back to the state in the form of federal allocation, the fact sharing. It's calculated along the fact sharing, the federal account committee, when they are sharing the federal allocation. So the challenge lies in the reality that the Nigeria, the component government, the component state, the subnationals have not been able to translate all this monetary collection that they get, included in the FAC that they get monthly, to drive good governance for the people. That is one of the biggest challenges. And at the end of the day, everybody blackmailed the central government. And that is why the first bill said we have to consolidate fiscal framework. So that by the time everything, without considering all the VAT and taxes, all form of taxes are now collected, the burden of responsibility will now be shifted because much of the money will now be given to the subnational. We want to really empower. What President Tinubu is actually doing is using fiscal reform to drive through federalism, where the powers lies in the component states. The subnationals now want to be empowered. And by the time they are more empowered with finance and everything, because they will stop collecting all those, all sort of IGR that are collecting in the states. Because we now have a unified tax reform system. You understand? The Board of Inland Revenue in the state will now have to consolidate its activity with whatever is going on at the National Revenue Service. You get my point? The revenue unit in the local government will be consolidated, so that when everything is collected in a central form, everything will be shared with higher percentage to these subnationals. And now let us see what is the excuse. Because I keep saying it across any fora, that the drivers of the microeconomies, the rural economies of any country is in the hands of the state and local government, especially in a federation, a country that is practicing federalism as a form of government. It's not in the hands of the federal government. Only create what we are talking about now is macroeconomics, fiscal direction. The federal government is trying to give fiscal direction to the country, but the implementation will still look at what it's doing now, pushing back the bulk of the resources back to the states and local government.
Knowing that this, all of this is happening, let's look at the key reforms. What structural reforms now do we need that would help us enhance, improve the effectiveness of our tax system?
The effectiveness is social contract between the government and the governance. Is to begin to ask the people we elect questions. From your local government to your states, what are you doing with the tax money? You have the laws to even repeal, to withdraw an House of Assembly member. You have the right to question the governor by then. What are you doing? No more excuse that I don't have power to this, I don't have money to do this. They have reformed the electricity. State now can create their National Electricity Commission, State Electricity Commission, or they can generate and distribute their electricity. How many states have keyed into it? We are unbundling the whole system so that we practice the true federalism we clamor for. Because in one sweep, we will be crying and shouting that we need true federalism. You concentrate the whole power in Abuja. In another side, the government is devolving the powers now, financially. First of all, we granted the local government, the autonomy of the local government. Is anyone effective now? These are the questions we're supposed to be asking until we begin to realize that the bulk of responsibility of driving governance in a federation lies across the subnationals and the local government. We will not get it right until we realize that. If we say the federal government can collect the highest percentage of the revenue, maybe more than half of it, or 50-something%, now they are going to be pushing it back with all the collection of taxes, clear away all sort of visible and invisible taxes levies that people pay. Do you know the impact of those levies on business? A small business that operates a kiosk today, the local government will come with one paper. Another set of person will come. Is some vehicles pay how many this thing every day? Say I collect ticket here, I collect all these things will now be harmonized well, so that we know if we stop revenue leakages. Because these are some of these guys that are collecting these levies on behalf of state governments and local government. They are contractors. They are cronies of government officials. Just go on the road when you are carrying goods from one part of Nigeria to the other. Do you know how much these people pay on the road before they get to another state? All those will stop. And the tax also goes. The reform is going to even affect the wealthy. There's going to be wealthy tax. The capital gain tax that is going to be influenced on the real estate sectors. People are disposing capital CGT, capital gain, the gain you gain from transacting in a capital assets. Today, people sell billions of houses. They transact houses, selling, renovation, acquiring capital assets, or selling off their capital asset after it has utilized its useful life, after it has fully depreciated, and they will make gain on it. But they don't pay anything to the federal government or to any government in form of taxes. So the reform was really due. But we are shifting the body from the common man now. It's progressing to the right people that are supposed to be paying it. All these houses in Maitama and Asokoro, they go here.
All right, Mr. Hanabrimo, we have to take a quick break now, and when we return, the conversation continues. Please stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. We're still speaking with Haruna Brimo, who is a finance expert, talking about tax reform in Nigeria. Mr. Haruna, there's often a gap between, tax collection, revenue collection, and the provision of public service. What is responsible for it? One of which you've just mentioned, but I would like you to, expatiate further.
Yeah, the reason for we said the definition of taxation or tax. We said a tax is a compulsory levy that the governments pay to governments, which the government use to provide social services. Ironically, in Nigeria, the whole thing is in paradox. Why the payers is like the story of the adage by late Chinua Achebe. Says since the bird have learned how to fly without perching, the otter will always try to shoot without missing. You understand? Both the collectors, the tax collectors, the government, those that are supposed to pay, we've not been sincere to ourselves. You understand? There is also apathy from the taxpayers that what are you actually doing with all the taxes you'll be collecting? The debt of infrastructure in Nigeria today runs around 3 trillion. That we need like 3 trillion annually because of our infrastructure deficit. So we need like 3 trillion annually to drive infrastructure for the next 10, 20 years for us to be at par with developed countries. You understand? Where is this money going to come from? We are operating a luggage economy, which has given us leeway. When I say luggage economy where we have revenue from extraction, like crude oil, solid mineral, this and luggage economy. In abroad, and they does not have these natural resources, they rely on tax. They operate knowledge economy, use their brain to tax every penny so the thing goes round. By the time you collect the taxes from the citizenry, you use it well, they give you back again. You use it well, they give so it become So in our own climb, we feel we are operating a long-gauge economy. We have crude oil. We have this. We are not supposed to be taxed again. And we forget to realize that tax is compulsory. It's one of the prerequisites for you to test your civic responsibility as a citizen. It's not negotiable. Even the Bible say, give what belongs to Caesar to Caesar. What was for Caesar? Is it not tax? You understand? So we have we suspect ourselves. We have the relationship between the government and the governed in Nigeria is not mutual. It's knock me and knock you. We don't trust ourselves. There's no trustworthiness, there's no credibility, there's no integrity in that relationship. And that is one of our biggest challenge. So no matter all this reform we're talking about, they try to simplify everything. You understand? Imagine when the burden is lifted from all these SMEs, from paying all sorts of levies to local government and others, if this tax reform bill goes through. Ordinarily, you will expect such SME or kiosk owner or business owner to reduce their prices. Would they do it? Ordinarily. You understand? We don't have credibility in our system. It's unfortunate. The living pattern of Nigeria, the population, the economy, the government, and the governed, there is no credibility. So the collection of tax and utilizing it for the people, there's no trust. While the government will tell you we have done X, Y, Z, most times you go and verify, you discover that either it's a bad project or it's just in paper, it's not on ground. And the next time you are coming to collect tax from such person, he will tell you, what have you used the one that you have collected from me? What have you used it for?
You know, talking about it, this trust, lack of trust in the collection and, of tax revenues. And we were talking a while back, just off camera, how that in the US, you pay tax for putting on your television. And you mentioned of houses in certain highbrow areas in Abuja here that needs to be taxed. But what mechanism, in your opinion, do you think we can employ to ensure accountability in the collection of this tax revenue? And even in the usage
the second bill in the reform, I think the second one, or the second one dwells on everything that has to do with administration of the tax, both defaulters, the legality of it, tax evaders, tax avoidance. Everything is already in that bill, whereby whoever default, this is how it's going to, such person or such organization is going to be dealt with. And we should be talking about enforcement. Everything is already encompasses in the second, which is the tax administration bill. You get my point? You can imagine how many real estate outfits are in Nigeria today. You can imagine the level of transactions up to our shares, bonuses and shares purchase and dividend issues in the stock market. Do you know how much of collected unclaimed dividend in billions that are in our banks? They are supposed to attract withholding taxes sent to the government, stamp duties. Are they really transparently remitting it? For every recharge card you buy, you already pay VAT. If you want to audit the service providers now across Nigeria, you will share grace. If actually they are remitting the volume of recharge card they sell online and offline a day in Nigeria, charge 10% or 7.5% on it. So the Nigerian population really feel that they are overtaxed already. Because for every television you go to buy, you have really directly paid the VAT, you don't know. It's a sales tax. It's inculcated there. It's a challenge. So we continue to drive issues like this to explain why the government drive reforms. And we now pray that the government on its own becomes sincere in actually. Because by the time you look at what happened between DSTV, multi-choice and Nigeria the other time, it's all about the tax.
Mr. Ronald, thank you very much for helping us make sense of these reforms. Incidentally, that's how much we can take on the program. We appreciate your time with us.
Thank you very much.
I hope that you grant us your presence here again.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's where we draw the curtains on Business Point today. Don't forget to follow us across all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. I am Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching and see you again.